This is WABE's Week in Review, the show where we look back the last few days of stories from your WABE News team. I'm Alex Helmick, managing editor of WABE News. And we start with Fulton County leaders filing a motion in federal court wanting the return of 2020 election documents seized in a recent federal raid. They're also asking for the unsealing of the affidavit used to secure the search warrant. Fulton County Commission Chair Rob Pitts said the targeting of the county is about President Donald Trump not accepting his 2020 loss in Georgia.
This case is not only about Fulton County, it's about elections across Georgia and across the nation. But Fulton County, make no mistake, in my opinion, we are the poster child here of all the states, all the counties, all the cities that may involve. It's Fulton County, Georgia, because of the 2020 elections.
Fulton County leaders say they are also worried the raid will be used as a pretext for the Republican-led state election board taking over the county election board ahead of the 2026 midterms. Well, the Georgia State Senate passed a bill to prevent local governments and school districts from opting out of a statewide cap on annual property tax increases. WABE's Mei Shu had more from Tuesday's vote.
In November 2024, Georgians voted to enact a statewide homestead property tax exemption with the caveat that local governments and school districts could opt out. It works by making sure property values only increase to the rate of inflation. Many places in Georgia have chosen to opt out of the exemption to avoid losing money. That's 2/3 of school districts, 1/3 of counties, and 1/4 of cities. Senate Bill 382, which passed 31-19, would bar them from doing that. Republican State Senator Chuck Hufstetler authored the bill.
People getting taxed out of their homes. We've got to take care of these people.
Some Democrats pushed back on the bill, saying it would reduce the amount of property tax revenue that goes to schools. Democratic State Senator Elena Parent said the exemption shouldn't be mandated everywhere.
A one-size-fits-all is potentially not a great policy for a state with 159 counties that are so disparate in their population, in their median income, whether they're even urban or rural.
SB 382 now goes to the House for review. Mei Shu, WABE News.
Meantime, in the Georgia House, lawmakers easily passed an amended version of the 2026 state budget, filling the budget shortfall at the Department of Families and Children's Services. WABE's Raul Bali told us more.
The shortfall triggered service cuts and a near halt on new foster care placements by private providers. Even with the budget deficit closed, Democratic House Minority Whip Sam Park says there needs to be a comprehensive audit.
The commissioner's time and leadership there, I think it's been very, very alarming to have this almost $100 million budget hole, to see this sort of uncertainty, these contracts being canceled, reinstated. It's vulnerable children who are ultimately suffering and getting harmed.
Another change, Governor Brian Kemp's original budget proposal included a fourth round of one-time income tax rebates. That translates to $250 for single filers and $500 for joint filers. Republican House Appropriations Committee Chair Matt Hatchett says budget writers shifted that to property tax relief.
Funding $850 million for the Homeowner Tax Relief Grant Program.
Hatchett says that would translate to about $500 a homeowner, but Senate budget writers could reverse that. The bill makes its way there next. The amended 2026 budget makes changes to current state funding through June 30th. Raul Bali, WABE News, the state capital.
A billionaire businessman is the latest to jump into the Georgia governor's race. Rick Jackson, founder and CEO of Alpharetta-based Jackson Healthcare, launched his campaign for the Republican nomination with this campaign ad.
I donated $1 million to Trump because Trump's success inspired me to do this for Georgia. I don't need this job for money or power. It's not about me. No more free rides for people who refuse to work. You want to sit on your butt, binge watch Netflix, and scarf down Cheetos? Do it with your own money.
Jackson said he has put in $50 million of his own money into his campaign account. Other high-profile names in the Republican primary include Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, Attorney General Chris Carr, and Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. Well, the city of Atlanta and Chattahoochee Riverkeeper have settled a Clean Water Act lawsuit over the city's largest wastewater plant. WABE's Marissa Mecki had the details.
Nonprofit Chattahoochee Riverkeeper filed the suit in 2024, claiming that for several months their daily water tests found high levels of E. coli and other contaminants downstream of Atlanta's R.M. Clayton wastewater treatment plant. Now, the City of Atlanta and CRK have settled that suit. In a press release, the city's Department of Watershed Management reaffirmed its commitment to investing millions of dollars in new equipment, upgrades, and repairs at the plant. Additionally, the city says it has already started many of these repairs, and the water coming out of the plant is now in compliance with its permits and clean water guidelines. Marissa Mecki, WABE News.
Well, Georgia Supreme Court Chief Justice Nels Peterson called the rule of law a fragile thing during his first State of the Judiciary address. WAB's Shemaine Cruz had more.
Peterson didn't point fingers directly at anyone, but stressed the need to keep partisan influences out of the courts.
Policymaking and politics are team sports, but judges don't play for a team. We wear robes, not jerseys, except, I suppose, for the occasional Saturday in the fall. But the rule of law depends on judges following the law impartially and independently.
Peterson says one way Georgia lawmakers can do that is by ending the partisan election of probate judges, just like they did last year with magistrate judges. He also called for regulating AI, as he says it has the capacity to generate false recordings and images that can be used as evidence. And Peterson returned to the issue of personal security.
Just as the rule of law requires that all people enjoy the law's protections, it also requires that we protect judges from those who would do them harm because of their rulings.
He added Georgia has already identified at least 35 threats against dozens of state judges since late 2024, resulting in 9 arrests. Shemaine Cruz, WABE News.
The World Cup in Atlanta is just months away. The city's transit will for sure play an integral role. Major upgrades are underway with slated completion dates long before the summer soccer matches. WABE's Lisa Rayam recently spoke with Marta's interim CEO, Jonathan Hunt, about a plan for adding more buses that run more frequently and on time, while increasing access significantly for Atlantans. A new ride-share experience could also help with that. It's called Marta Reach and will be available in certain zones.
And within those zones, I like to say you're going to get an Uber-like experience. This is still public transit, so it's all shared ride. But within the zone, you will be able to hail one of our Marta Reach vehicles via our brand new Marta Everything app that will be rolling out next year in phases. And as you hail those vehicles, they'll pick you up wherever you are, your house, the corner, etc., within the zone, and bring you to one of those fast, frequent lines, whether it's bus or to our rail line.
So are you still on track to start the additional service in 2026?
That's correct. So we're going to roll out Marta Reach in March of 2026, and the full next-gen bus network launches on April 18th, 2026.
Back in 2024, there was a federal survey that said ridership was down among bus and train riders. Marta said that was a misconception because of some faulty equipment with the gates and things of that nature. Where is Marta today with its ridership? And will there be enough to support this new service?
We're building our new service to the ridership we have and to the projections of where we believe ridership will go. So yes, we'll be able to handle the ridership as it grows. And we are growing ridership. We're laser focused on ridership, which is why all of the things that we're rolling out in the near term, and by near term I mean 2026, and in the future, are all focused on either increasing ridership, improving service delivery, with being grounded in a customer service mindset.
Improving ridership, does that go hand in hand with improving faith in the system? There have been a string of violent incidents at MARTA stations. What will be done to restore faith in MARTA?
We're doing it now. It spans a lot of things. On safety and security, I want to say that Marta is one of the safest transit agencies in the country. Over the last 5 years, MPD has brought down violent crime by over 50%. But what you're getting at is that's data. That sounds great, Mr. Interim GM CEO. But if people don't feel safe, we need to do more work, and we are aware of that. Which is why on the security and safety standpoint, we're going to invest more in our MPD. We have committed to adding 30 more sworn police officers, as well as 10 more field protective specialists, which are non-sworn members of our police department, but they carry everything an officer carries except a gun and a taser.
The world is going to be watching Atlanta, the World Cup. It's right around the corner. Do you hope to have Marta revamped enough to unveil a brand new Marta system by then?
Marta is ready for the World Cup. We've been engaged in World Cup planning for over a year. Now we know who's coming, and we can be hyper-specific. And we're planning and partnering with those countries' representatives as well as the host committee. Atlanta has a good transit system today. What our staff is doing is taking that system from good to great.
That was Marta's interim CEO, Jonathan Hunt, speaking with WAB's Lisa Rayam. You're listening to WAB's Week in Review with me, Alex Helmick. Often called forever chemicals because of how long it takes them to break down, PFAS are linked with numerous health issues. And for decades, carpet manufacturers in Dalton used them as a stain blocker. Now the effects are becoming more visible. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution's investigative reporter Dylan Jackson and data journalist Justin Price joined reporters from Alabama and South Carolina to uncover the story. And when they spoke earlier with WAB's Jim Burris, Jackson began by explaining why it's difficult to pinpoint exactly who's at fault.
The chemical companies supplied these products for many years. The carpet companies are the ones who applied them to their products and made, billions off of these products. And so, what was really not well understood was to what extent these companies and industries knew or at least suspected that there were potential health risks and environmental risks to these chemicals.
So remind me, these were not regulated to a major degree, right, by the EPA?
Really, the first watershed moment was in 2000 when Scotchgard, which was a 3M product, was phased out of the market. And in the 2 decades since, the EPA has set advisory levels, but essentially has been slow to act on these chemicals.
And for all of these years, then, these chemicals, after they were applied, were somehow getting into the drinking water. Kind of connect that dot. How is it happening, and did folks even know?
The facilities that manufacture the carpets, they, apply chemicals in their dyeing processes, and whatever's left over gets into the wastewater from those facilities. They basically ship the treated wastewater to what they call a land application system. It's a 9,800 acre piece of land that's mostly forested. And across that land, they have a series of sprinkler systems, and the wastewater is sprayed directly onto the land. This is all pre-treated wastewater. So most of the contaminants at that point, once they're sprayed onto this big piece of land, are removed. But the problem with PFAS is that Dalton Utilities had never had any sort of mechanism to filter PFAS from the wastewater. And that land application system is bordered by the Conasauga River, which is a significant source of drinking water for communities downstream.
Reporting we've done with our great partners at AL.com has shown that the contamination emanating out of Dalton and down the Conasauga has reached across state borders in Alabama, where there are people, there are communities there that have no connection to the carpet industry, but are finding PFAS at high levels in their water Many have sued the chemical suppliers and the carpet industry to try to recoup some money to fix their water systems.
And I imagine the carpet industry is resisting.
The carpet industry has fought vigorously in court against these lawsuits filed by municipalities or residents throughout the region. And they point to the chemical suppliers who are the ones that created these products and sold it to them. And for many years did not disclose that these chemicals were in these products. But at a certain point, 2 decades ago, the carpet industry was put on notice about these chemicals and continued to use them for many years after.
It's important to note that regulatory bodies have been aware, just about as long as the carpet companies have been aware.
Yeah, it's been described to us as basically a failure at every level.
That was WABE's Jim Burris speaking with Atlanta Journal-Constitution investigative reporter Dylan Jackson and data journalist Justin Price about their work forever stained the South's carpet empire and the chemicals that don't go away. That's all for the show this week. My thanks to the WABE News team for all the great work. You can get more at WABE.org. I'm Alex Helmick. Thank you for supporting WABE and for listening to The Week in Review.